Scott Cawthon sucks. And I say that at the risk of pissing off his creepy cult of personality. You go ahead and do something inconceivably fucked up like, oh, I don't know, publishing a game where Black Lives Matter protests are a villainous puppet of a shadowy globalist terror organisation that needs to be put down by militaristic intervention, successfully bleed subscribers at a rate one could only call hemorrhagical.
Oh shit. Oh, day, pray them niggas go away. Oh, we sell the clowns around it, look like circus show. This is not the album either, these are just the throwaways. This shit's still so cold when it drop, it's gonna be a motherfucking snow.
Hello there folks, it's Nerdy John here, and today we're going to be going over the James Stephanie Starlin video, specifically the one about Scott Cawthon. Now, for those of you who don't know, Scott has gotten into some controversy about which political candidates he donates his money to. It got so bad that people decided to dox his family. I kid you not. And while he doesn't support the doxing, James's video was rather interesting. Oh wait, did I say he? I'm sorry, he goes by they. They go by they, them. So apologies, I'm probably going to misgender them throughout the video. It's not done on purpose, it will genuinely just be a slip. Back to the topic at hand though. I don't just want to talk about the Scott Cawthon situation though, although that will be somewhat of the main point. Over the past year, James has, well, he's erratic would be a better word to put. Yeah, erratic. He's gotten way more political this past year after coming out as non-binary, and it's just, yeah, like, I think like no one was surprised by the fact that, you know, he was anti-capitalist, because, you know, a majority of his content was talking about gaming companies' shady business practices. However, he made a video about an Ubisoft mobile game called Tom Clancy Elite Squadron, about how there was a symbol in that game where it looked like the Black Lives Matter raised fist, although I'll get into why that might not have been the case.
His fan base already hates me despite being a direct inspiration for the Five Nights at Freddy's series with my criticism of his earlier title, Chipper and Sons, a lumber company. It was a very creepy game. But they're mad at me for all that I've definitely done for them. Because they won't hear a single bad word said against the guy, even if that bad word gave them the game that they love so much. I'm just saying, where are my royalties if Cawthon's chucking his money about?
Now, off the bat, he already mentions that if it wasn't for his criticism, that the Five Nights at Freddy's games wouldn't have been made. Now, I hate to burst your bubble on this, but you aren't exactly the first and or last person to say that those character designs were creepy. Basically, to everyone but Scott, they were creepy. That was it. Now, granted, because of your platform, he might have seen your criticism in particular and we were like, hey, you know what, these designs would make better use in a horror game. But as far as I'm aware, there's no confirmation that your criticism in particular inspired him. So, right off the bat, wasn't good. And even if that was meant as like some dry-witted like sarcasm joke, dude, it wasn't funny. I'm sorry, it wasn't funny. Now, this part of the video insinuates that because Scott supported these politicians, that he 100% agrees with everything they say. Here's the problem with that. I could twist your logic to go against you, in fact. For example, because James is a liberal and liberals are closely associated with communists, that means when the Soviet Union killed 3.9 million Ukrainians in a starvation campaign, that means James full-heartedly supported it. You see how your own logic can be used against you, James? Now granted, that was a very extreme example, but still, like, in Scott's response, which you showed, by the way, but you neglected that little part. Scott says that he supported Tulsi Gabbard. Now, for those of you who don't know, she was basically everyone's second pick next to Bernie. She was literally considered like the next best presidential candidate next to Bernie for the Democrats. And Scott says, even though he disagreed with her on some topics, that he felt that she was best to run the country. Yeah, it's a crazy concept. I know, James. You might want to sit down when you hear this. It's so crazy that maybe you could support someone on some topics and disagree with them on others. I know. Anyway, in the video, James then proceeds to talk about how much certain politicians of the Republican Party hate the LGBT community. Yes, granted, some people do hate them that are in the Republican Party. However, some people in the Democratic Party hate them as well. There are gay Republicans and there are gay Democrats. There are Christians who want nothing but to see LGBT members burnt at the stake, and there are those who welcome them with open arms. I don't think James doesn't indicate that there are two sides here. He just everyone who is part of this is this way because it helps his argument. But the second you start dealing with absolutes like that, James, it destroys any point that you were trying to make to begin with. Now, to move on, this is in the Scott video specifically. This is more of a thing that pops up sporadically through his videos, but James likes to insinuate that people are leaving his channel and unsubscribing because of the fact that they came out as non-binary, and the only reason why they're leaving is because they don't want to support because of the transition and that they're all bigots. Oh, actually, in the Scott video, he mentions you can't understand because you're not marginalized. Yeah, cause nobody who would be associated with the LGBT community would have any problem with your video whatsoever. Not at all, James. It's only straight people who have the problem with it. Specifically, straight white men. That's the only group of people who have a problem with your video. I took a look at his social blade, and yes, while he is losing subscribers, his views are still pretty decent, and you're gonna get those subs back. It's just only a matter of time, because while you're losing the audience who doesn't like your politics, you're going to gain some audiences that love your politics. It's just how it works. No matter what happens, as soon as you say a political statement, you're going to lose half your audience. You just gotta expect that, whether if it was right or left leaning. You had to have expect that, James. And honestly, I don't blame people for leaving. You've become a very bitter creator because the second your channel started to decline, you automatically went towards everyone hated the fact that you came out. It's not that, James. You've become progressively more cynical, specifically to your audience, and basically treat them like children.
There are many fair reasons to not want to watch my show or support the channel or whatever. I barely want to do all those things myself. And only the fair reasons are the reasons that so many subscribers went away so fast and so recently. We did at one point wonder if it had anything to do with coming out visibly as trans on the notoriously trans-hostile YouTube.com, but I've been assured by gamers and YouTube commenters the world over that suddenly losing 2,000 subs the exact day I came out and a further 2,000 with every subsequent post is sheer coincidence. No, it's because I said the word capitalism too much.
Another thing I want to talk about is the video James made on Ubisoft. Now, I agree that the design decisions definitely looked very bad, but here's the thing, James. While the Black Fist Rising Up is mostly associated with black civil rights groups, it's also associated with socialism. And in the game's trailer, Umbra was portrayed as an anarchist terrorist organization, so I understand why they would do that. James is trying to portray this as a malicious decision so that way they can have targeted campaigns against LGBT members. Wait, not LGBT members, I'm sorry. BLM. But here's the thing, James. This is also the same company that put a transgendered character in their Assassin's Creed Syndicate game. They're clearly trying to pander or at least market themselves to the left in terms of characters, their games, storylines. Why do you think they would then risk a PR disaster like this purposefully? That's the thing, James. While I agree with you, that was a very bad design choice, it's not malicious. Now, Ubisoft has made a lot of mistakes as a company, but this one, I'm sorry, I don't see it, Chief. I don't. Oh, one more thing I want to talk about is the fact that James doesn't believe in cancel culture, that it's the boogeyman of the far right or whatever. Listen, cancel culture does exist. Just take one look at the Slazo situation and tell me that cancel culture doesn't exist. While it doesn't really work for big companies, individual creators are very easily targeted, whether it was a spicy joke they did, or something they said out of context, or hey, maybe it was something that they genuinely did something really bad on, but they learned from it, but people still want to punish them for it. It does exist. But here's the thing. It's not just a left wants to cancel people. The right want to cancel people just as bad. They both just do it very differently. We saw this in the 90s when Republican politicians and some Democratic politicians wanted to censor video games, thus, in a way, trying to cancel them. But the modern equivalent of that is online fiascos that we see nowadays. James, please. No, the majority of people aren't unsubscribing to you because of your recent transition. It's how you handle yourself. It's specifically like the way you go about your politics too. Because here's the thing, creators like yourself have handled their politics a lot better, and they're still able to maintain their audience. You've just gone like straight to the bullhorns, however that expression works, because you perceive anyone who doesn't agree with you as the enemy because they're racist, homophobic, transphobic. You paint them as like the most evil possible, so that way you don't have to acknowledge any criticisms that people have of you, and you can just continue making the same types of videos. And that's the main that's also another reason, the stagnation of your videos, James. Wow, your green screen stuff has gotten a lot better, and even though you look like a ripoff of Ozzy Osbourne, hey, you know what? I like the outfit, but your thumbnails have pretty much been the same for what, like 5 years now, and like your editing hasn't really improved. Not that you need like crazy, super amazing like editing, but like when people notice a stagnation in something, they begin to lose interest in any form of content. Also too, I know it varies on how much they actually help, but I notice a lot in your videos, James, that you don't put tags in them. And you know, every little bit helps for a video, so maybe if you start putting tags in, videos would get a bit more traction. Now, James has also mentioned how YouTube has suppressed his videos. Here's the thing, James. They do that with every creator pretty much, whether it's a risque joke, a controversial topic, or who they are as a person. It's happened with Joe Rogan, it's happened with you, it's even happened with people like Markiplier. It happens to YouTubers. It doesn't make you special, James. It just doesn't. So, I know part of this video was really me rambling about stuff, but I just want to get my thoughts out there because I'm sorry, James, but this stuff doesn't cut it anymore, man. Like, dude, you need to learn that people aren't being malicious towards you. They've just gotten tired of your stuff, man. Like in your video, you're saying, "Oh well, I'm not saying that they're unsubbing because I'm binary, but it's rather convenient that as soon as I came out, people started unsubbing." Now, granted, I'll give you this. Maybe there were a couple of people who genuinely hated the fact that you were non-binary, but dude, do you really think the majority of people who are leaving are that? It's ridiculous, man. Anyway, to the one person out there watching this, thanks for watching. This is Nerdy John signing out, and here's the future content.